Welcome to Triple F, bringing life to your faith, family, and finance.
Hello, and welcome Triple F family. Hey, my name is Danny Couture. I have the honor and privilege of hosting our Triple F show on how to elevate your finances. In this segment, welcome. Look, the month of February is almost over, and we have an incredible guest speaker to share with you today. But before we dive into it, I definitely want to share with you our mission statement so you can understand what we do and why we are doing it. Okay, our mission is to equip people in areas of faith, family, and finance. It is our desire to add value to people's lives by helping them reinforce their faith, build a stronger relationship with their family, and especially in such time like today, and help people elevate their finances. That is our mission here. At every show, we pray and hope that you glean from something, that you take a hold, that you lambano something of wisdom that can help you pivot in your faith, your family, and your finances. And so with that being said, please go to DannyCouture.com and download our free ebook. Look, we've been doing the show for over about a year plus months now, and we have practical ways from experts who have actually applied the information that they have shared and gained results from it. One of the things I've learned through life is that wisdom is learning from other people's mistakes versus you having to make the mistakes yourself and learning from them. So you can actually learn from people who have actually put the stuff together, have applied what they're teaching us and share, and that you could travel the path of least resistance of getting there. So with that being said, make sure you hit that subscribe button on our social media page on Instagram and Facebook, and then subscribe to our pages so that we can keep you connected and we can have a lot of fun growing through the whole entire process. So excited for our guest speaker today. Before we dive into it, we're going to give you a quick peek of a video of what he's doing in the marketplace and also kind of introduce himself through this video. So take it away, Sherry.
The overcomers in life always inspire me. Whether it's with finances, relationships, or personal well-being, each person has a story.
So my name is Dale Fujinaka from Honolulu, Hawaii. And what I do is I help whether businesses or family estates in their transitions financially. Thinking about growing up in Honolulu, the kind of culture that I grew up with was quite competitive, and it allowed me to focus in on sports, even to the college level.
Welcome to paradise, Honolulu, Hawaii. And here come the Rainbows of Hawaii. We've got fourth-ranked Michigan against the University of Hawaii, a team that is trying to pull off the biggest win in the history of its program.
This was supposed to be my moment. I worked and sacrificed so hard for it, now being inches away, hearing the helmets clashing, high decibel cheering from the stands and the smells of the turf grass.
I was so excited to show and display, my talent as the minority here. And it was a culmination that I will never forget. It was in front of 49,000 fans, and what preceded was in pregame warm-up, I re-injured my hamstring that I took 9 weeks to heal.
Tears ran down my face and I was broken.
And just knowing that what I could have done didn't happen.
After a career-ending football injury in 1988, I took off my cherished Rainbow Warrior football helmet for the last time.
And overcoming that was really devastating, but I felt like it built more character in me. And I always had this entrepreneur spirit in me where there was no fear, where I know I could overcome. And so that excites me, that I can continue to play almost like football again, but apply it in business. It's quite gratifying. It's been a great joy and an honor to be husband and dad. I actually met my wife at Aloha Stadium. She was a cheerleader and we met there, and we never separated since. Yeah, this family journey has been an amazing one. It was kind of a miracle because we had our daughter through premature contractions at an early age of 24, so she's now 30 years old. But her prayer fervently was to have a baby brother, and 12 years later that actually happened.
It certainly was in that moment my life purpose was defined.
The name of my business is Hoku Legacy Solutions, and on my logo and symbolic of Hoku, and in Hawaiian, literally Hoku Pa'a means true north. It's being consistent, having integrity, being predictable, that I will be that person that I'm under promising and overperforming in whatever I do. And that's what I want to represent to my clients, let alone my family, living a life of no regret and living a life of upright, true north.
As a serial entrepreneur for over 3 decades, I am committed to the remaining years of my life to bring an overcoming spirit into businesses, family estates, and personal health through the multi-generations. Let's collaborate and win together.
Wow, what's that? Hey, look, guys, I'm excited to introduce you. I'm going to turn it over to him to kind of introduce himself, share a little bit more. You've obviously seen the video, but we want to welcome Del Fujinaka here to the platform. Let's give him a round of applause and welcome him with the Triple F spirit. And as we kick off how to elevate your finances. Dale, welcome and thank you for making time for our Triple F family.
Hey, Danny, thank you for reaching out and having me on your show, man. You are looking good, man. What you doing, working out hard, huh?
I'm trying to keep up with you, but I'm trying to keep up with you. Hey, thank you for making the time. I know, with family, business, and your ministry as well. We just thank you for fitting us into your busy schedule. And so we're going to just dive into it and be a blessing to so many of our Triple F family who's chiming in tonight. So with that being said, we'll go into our first question here, Sherry. So what's the importance of business to you personally, Dale, and how does it affect your life?
That's a great question, Danny. When I think back, because quite frankly, I was sold on being a youth pastor all the way back in the day, doing ministry stuff in college. And I was either going to be a missionary internationally or become a pastor. And when doing that, what happened was you saw a little bit of a clip where my wife went into premature contractions, and God had other plans for us. So after living at Kapilani Hospital with my wife and my daughter, because we're there, it shifted me to start thinking like, how in the world am I going to provide for my family, but yet not compromising my faith? So the opportunity for business, number one, I could clearly see that it took a glass ceiling off of me. It gave me opportunity to say, hey, you know what, no matter where I'm at, being that, oh, I wanted to mention, we're actually buying our first place. And because of the premature contractions and the bills, all my savings, everything got drained. So,
Mm,
um, business is important to me because I get to be on a playing field and win together with other people. And I get to overcome stuff that I never could do, being possibly comfortable in a job that was offered to me at that time.
mm. No, that's so good. It's so good because I think a lot of people want to make that transition from a job security per
Yeah.
se into entrepreneur, into business, but don't know the steps, don't know what it takes or the direction, right? And so thank you for sharing that. I'm sure we'll continue to have dialogues on that. But we'll go into the second question, Sherry.
Yeah.
So how did business, like, I mean, now how many years you've been in business, and how you are affecting many different businesses
Right.
today with all the swords that you're carrying, and making
Yeah.
a difference in the
Yeah.
marketplace today.
Yeah. I think back, the what blows my mind with business changing my life is like when I'm thinking about, the dilemma that people have to go through, to your point, Danny. They get exciting ideas, but they don't have the working capital to empower that idea,
Mm,
let alone hanging around with the right people and getting the right insight. So for me, it was actually network marketing in my early 20s, to have the ability to put down capital at a amount that I could afford. I think it was like $100 or something like that, that I could say, okay, go ahead now, Dell. Everything in you, that you applied in principle with sports, now you can apply to business and you go for it. So,
mm,
that was one, that I'm thinking about personal development. It challenged me, my faith, and, the whole thing, outlook of, um, being part Filipino and part Japanese and Spanish. My mom was the Filipino side. She would do everything for me, Danny. So it's good and bad, right?
right.
So so you could really see when I got married, it was all about me,
Mm,
and what business does, it really takes
uh,
the arrows towards me and begins to point it outward by
mm,
default. I cannot help but keep focusing on others, right?
right.
So I think that opportunity for personal development was a big factor. And number two was understanding free enterprise. It blows my mind that middle class America, the ones who very much need it, when
Mm,
they understand the unbiased truth about jobs, look, jobs were designed to learn a trade and then all of a sudden be in business for themselves.
mm,
That's the principle of jobs, right? And I'm not saying everybody's supposed to be in business for themselves, because some people will be entrepreneurs and not entrepreneurs, which I value those people on my team who are entrepreneurs, where
mm,
they're not going to be lead dog, but they're going to apply principles as if it's their own business. So it blows my mind that, I remember back in my 20s, like, hey, you know what? You don't have to put much capital. All you need is a great dream and hanging around the right people. And
mm.
the negativity, now on the positive, that helped build more capacity for me to then set forth in other business ventures, if you will. Yeah.
Wow. Wow. I know that was such a loaded question, but you answer it so um, uh, articulate in breaking down many different strongholds that we unconsciously inherit and suffer from as a society. I can think about myself as a Pacific Islander growing up, moving
Yes,
from
sir.
an island, not knowing anything, and coming to America, where the only thing I saw as a source of income coming into my household was my dad working 3 jobs. And so in my mind, uh, what I told myself is if I provided for my family, that's all I needed to do as a man. I didn't have a role in being a husband. I didn't have a role. I mean, as a father,
Yeah.
those things were secondary and third. And growing today to be a father myself and being a provider, it is so far from the truth. And so when you say that entrepreneur, being in business gave you the ability to not only grow in personal growth, right, and understanding what it takes to be successful, not only in the marketplace, but also be at home, and then and how it correlates with ministry as well. So that's so exciting. There's so many, I guess, people who aspire to step into the realm of
Right.
entrepreneurship, but don't know that first step, and so I thank you for clarifying some of the attribute that business bring when we do step out on faith. So we're going to go here to the third question because we're moving right along, Sherry. So talk about some defining moment that really, either like prior to business that caused you to join business, and then also when you're in business, were there any other defining moment that elevates you to a greater capacity?
I got you on that one, man. I'm thinking back, reflecting on, the several decades of being in business, and one I had to make a hard decision when in the '90s, late '90s, my financial planning practice took off. So literally, I knew I had to go deep in one avenue, and so I um, there was kind of a grieving process when I had to let go of my network marketing business, which
Mm,
was still bringing in a decent amount of income, 4 or 5 thousand a month, but I couldn't stay on it because of my role there. And I
mm,
knew that there would be other leadership there that I could edify to take them on. But that was the first pivot when I made into the financial planning practice. Now that took off in for myself in the industry again, literally being the minority. Not too many Asian guys get to perform nationwide and, you know, predominantly in the financial services practice. Now that's evolved some, but, the ability to, the certain fears I would have, like you were talking about coming, from the Polynesian background, me coming from the Asian, let alone Hawaii, sometimes the danger was it took a back seat,
mm,
and that competitive spirit in me was, okay, doggone it, I'm gonna change, I'm gonna learn, read, do the principles, everything that the guys on the mainland do, you know. You know what I'm talking about, Danny, right?
oh,
So and to see it unfold where, I got to speak on different platforms, talking about financial products and my success with the team, that was a big breakthrough. Now forward it in 2017, I I, I did another pivot. I actually sold my financial firm, and the whole purpose of it, is going to come up with my website, easy to remember, delfujinaka.com. You'll see that in my story, it was when I really dug deeper into the financial system, whether the central banking or the government, I began to see everything that I was teaching was only half truth.
mm,
And what I mean by that is, there is the masses and the middle class that are the responsible ones that, um, it, let me put it this way, the government doesn't have a solution to a problem they didn't create. More than likely, they created a problem and they came up with a solution, aka 401k
mm,
programs, you know? So when you really look at it, I couldn't keep promoting that, even though I was having teaching people retirement. And by the way, retirement, that's when you die, so there's no such word as retirement. I probably told you that, Danny, right?
yeah.
So when I'm looking at it going, okay, that's not the whole story. So I began to push the envelope to be unbiased with my finances to the point where 2017, right around there, um, you know, I started rubbing shoulders with these mega wealthy guys and large investment bankers. So when I
Mm,
say mega wealthy, I'm talking about like 100 million net worth and above. And for me, I'm like, okay, here I am, an underdog now, just getting to golf with these guys. And you know what the running joke was, Danny, if I may
Mm.
share this. We'd golf, and I had to deal with the identity thing. Like, okay, I belong.
All right.
I'm not 100 million word, right? But the joke was, um, the joke was, uh, I asked one guy who was with a large uh, asset management company in the world, and he's from Japan. And I asked him when he retired. I said, "Hey, do you own any mutual funds?" And he told me, "No, Danny." He told me he doesn't own any mutual funds. I went, "Oh, okay. So what do you do?" "Oh, private equity and venture capital stuff." So, oh yeah, if I made like I knew, but I didn't know. Right now I know. Now I'm doing it, but I didn't know back then. So, so then we golf, and then the guy would say, "Okay, go ahead, Deru-san. Ask this guy. Hey, do you own any mutual funds?" Like top Goldman Sachs guy. He goes, "No, no. Why you ask?" And I go, I saw a huge disconnect.
Mm.
Okay, huge disconnect of how I used to teach, and all of a sudden now seeing that, hey, wait a minute, this unspoken, the power of how they bank, the power of what they invest in is a big difference.
Mm.
That's why I made my pivot. And after monthly being in Japan, and getting groomed by these guys, I'm still doing it now with transitions, like they call it mergers and acquisitions. My biggest conviction was, and again, the defining moment for me was hearing my dad, who went home to be with the Lord, 63 years old. He goes, "Hey, boy, if you ever get to the highest tax bracket, don't forget where you came from."
Mm.
You know,
Mm.
and so sure enough, when I hit the highest tax bracket, now I'm listening to these guys and going, how to get to the lowest tax bracket by doing certain things.
Mm.
I knew I had to start a radio show. I knew I had to be for the general public because I'm after the underdogs.
Mm.
So my defining moment was that. And you may notice my passion is to play the ukulele, and the ukulele is the underdog of all the instruments. So it's symbolic. Like, if I can make this thing shine and sound good, that's my whole vision and purpose. I can't spend all the moment with it, so I'm developing systems for the middle class, but
Mm.
letting them cut their teeth in doing what the large banks and the understanding more than 401k stories with the government.
Most definitely. Yeah. We're going to definitely have to bring you back for more. But I know being around you and just sharing what you just shared right now about association, like having to golf with those fellas and learning and gleaming from people that changed, made you, basically you were still playing football. It challenged you
Yes,
to
sir.
a greater game in life, right? And look at who you are today is of value. And I think one of the things I mean, there's so many attributes that I admire about you. But one thing I do admire the most is your heart, your ability to stay grounded in humility of knowing who you are and whose you are in that way. So we appreciate your vulnerability and sharing your heart with the Triple F family. Is there any practical ways that you would offer someone? This is a hot seat question here. I'm just going to throw them out for the last couple of minutes. Is
Let's go.
any,
Let's
any
go.
practical ways that people that's listening to this and say, man, I want to change my life. I want to do something. I want to play the game at a higher level, right? And I'm tired of being on the bench. I want to get into the stadium and play. What could you offer someone, or any practical ways someone could take advantage of an opportunity?
I would narrow it down to four statements, you know. But before I share the four statements, I keep hearing the term humble pie boot camp.
Hmm.
That humble pie boot camp, because it's one thing when somebody can overcome and get their identity to their ultimate maker, that nobody they're in the room with, they won't ever feel intimidated. Then it's the other side where they feel too confident of themselves, what wealth they have and resources they have. So once that's, I cannot say once that's identified, I can say once that's in the process constantly, it's a work in progress where we're looking at it, right? I better not think too much of myself, but hey, I belong, right? That whole part of it. Then it comes down to defining what is it that you want? What is it that you want? And it can't, I don't mind saying a mansion. I don't mind saying, because I know that's in heaven. So I don't mind saying being wealthy, because when I speak that, then it's going to be a journey. But the motive behind that wealth, defining what it is you want, which leads me to, because again, money is just a tool, right?
Right.
But the motive behind it is the root of all the evil that's going on out there. Man, doggone it. I want to empower guys with the right motive so that they can empower causes and be resources where they don't have to rely on what's coming, the digital, the central banking digital currency. You're going to hear that, right?
Yeah.
I can help them decentralize from that, help them with the mindset. So, having a lot of money and resource is going to be real critical in the years to come. Okay? So then, though, I feel like the second statement is even more critical because once I identified what it is I want and I'm seeing my goals out there, and then I have targets, it's what am I willing to give up?
Come on.
So it's universal, right? I don't care what business platform you're on, it's universal in the entrepreneurship. And again, if I'm an intrapreneur, maybe being in business for yourself is not it, but you want to follow well, then somebody who, let's say a network marketing, that's why I endorse network marketing and have them do their due diligence on network marketing because it's really helping at the lowest cost to get into these four statements I'm going to make and finish up in sharing, right? So giving up, network marketing allows me to put more money into, I remember in my 20s, go, my gosh, delayed gratification. I'll keep putting more money in me. But that was a foundation of personal development. And knowing now that, I invest millions and have investors investing, for working capital, man, you can't beat the ability to be on the playing field with some kind of network marketing opportunity, right? Let alone if you have something like identity theft protection or something like that. That's really setting apart. But I'm just keeping it general, right?
Right.
So then it allows me to answer that question of what am I willing to give up in order to get what I want, right? But number 3 is the association. Who am I willing to and on purpose associate with? Doesn't matter where we at. I know when I was on a winning team and I know when I was not. But the other process for me was I can see the mistakes I made in the past was I was critical on guys who didn't have that business mindset versus extending them grace, but yet still genuinely encouraging them and getting around the right people, right? So that would be number 3, who am I willing to associate with? And then my last point would be then any business I consult as a business coach, what's your plan? And if they don't have a plan, I want to step in to get them have clarity on their plan. Doesn't matter if they're a dental practice, a real estate company, a car company. I want to make sure they have clarity on their business plan. What's on their dashboard that over and over through repetition, they can keep honing in and getting better and better and better at. But once that's happening, you can plan your work, but you got to work your plan, right?
Amen. Man, it's so good. It's so good. Okay. One last quick question is going to be a double whammy. So one of the questions here that was with one of the audiences, what makes you an expert in your field? That's the last question. And then also any last word that you want to add to the Triple F family that you want to impart upon someone that's listening. So turn it over to you, brother.
I'm gonna forget the second question, and you got to ask that question again because
Okay.
I'm ADD, right? So I cannot think about all at once. So let me focus on
Oh,
the
good.
first one,
Oh, good.
and let me slow it down, Danny. Okay.
Got
Uh,
you.
when I think about that word expert, and defining it, um, it it's knowing your craft, but not with just knowledge. I'll give you an example. When I made my pivot, the guy I hung out with, share office space with, he would be involved with 100+ million dollar acquisitions and changes, right? And he's with the big boys. And I said, hey, man, after a year being in business, I'm going to set up my own private equity fund. And he said, no, Dale. So that was like three years ago. He said, no. I go, why not? I know how to do it and structure it. No, you might want to cut your teeth in developing different investment funds first.
Mm.
Okay. So that's my answer to being an expert. I'm on that road. Um, but if there's any two things I can say from dealing with the good and the bad and the ugly, is knowing I can say that being an expert in managing somebody's cash flow and helping them with tools for their working capital, because those are the two that will be much needed to survive in an up or down economy. Yeah.
That's awesome. This is awesome. The last question was
Yeah.
any last word, any last advice you want to impart, you want to give someone that's listening to this, whether it's replay or live, uh, what would you impart or bless them with? Any last word?
Yeah, Danny, I think about you. I think about your track record, um, your achievements, higher than mine in sports, man. I think about you and your heart. And the last words I would say, as more and more people come aboard, uh, I share in your values, but I share in your mission statement too. What good is it to win the world in finances, but lose your family, right? Let alone faith. That's the scary one, right? And the last piece of advice is that we go after this humble pipe boot camp, not afraid to learn, right? Stay alpha. And what I mean by stay alpha, be confident in yourself. And if maybe it might be false confidence. Well, what are you studying, right? What are we studying, and what is our daily habits? Because one guy told me, Del, the secret of your success, really, really cut everything out. It's hidden in your daily habits,
Mm.
not what people see on the outside, but it's my daily habits. So I hone in on my workouts, I hone in
Mm.
on my skills, right? And that's what I would leave with anybody watching. And if you're questioning Danny as a leader, even as him as an entrepreneur, I would say don't test him out though, but you'll see that it'll accelerate years along with his leadership of who he's plugged into, that anybody would want to level the playing field, be in business for themselves, and really go after their goals and dreams. That's what I want to leave you with. And so it's again, thank you for having me on this platform, my friend.
No, thank you, brother. Hey, how does people get a hold of you and then also promote out your channel and your podcast as well so that they can YouTube or Google
Yeah.
if you can pass that on? I know the team has probably put a banner together to endorse that. There you go. Visit delfujinaka.com/home. And anything else
Yeah.
you can add on to
Y-
that?
Yeah, if you want. So, what's growing is the subscribership because some guys who aren't my clients, they're so the guys who are watching this or listening to this podcast, they can use the passcode to get in to
Mhm.
see what I do, and that's all caps SAFE. So you just go to delfujinaka.com, you punch in your name and your email, and then just put in SAFE, all caps, safe. It stands for safe. And that's some resources that somebody can go ahead and enjoy and see the unbiasedness about it.
Awesome. And also, Dell is on social media. So he's on LinkedIn, it's on Facebook and Instagram. So you can get a hold of him in that way, especially if you want to invest. For those of you who are already on the other side of the fence, right? And you want to take your game to a greater capacity, definitely this is someone you want to work with and continue to grow together. Guys, I'm just excited for this show. Dell, thank you so much for your time and your wisdom. We appreciate you. May God continue to use you mightily in the marketplace. And with that being said, Triple F family, we thank you so much for chiming in, and we look forward to the next show. Make sure you hit the subscribe button on all of our social media channel and our YouTube channel as well. All of these shows are there. And then also go to DannyCouture.com and subscribe to the free ebook. Take care, take charge, and God bless. Aloha.